Very famous pilot from World War I,
Okay.
and a much younger navigator from the Vietnam War. And we're so glad to have you in my train room. And I have a saying, the one who has the most toys wins, and I'm trying to win. And I hope to see you soon in my train room. Now we're going to take a tour. The first train we're going to look at is a train that I bought in 1959 for my son, 3 days before he was born. And it's this old Western train from the cowboy and Indian days. It's an American Flyer. It's a S gauge. You know about gauges, I'm sure. Most of my train are O gauge, and I have some O27. And I used to have number 1 gauge, but I gave them to a friend who wanted to put trains up for his grandchildren. Now the trains that you see here all run, and I change out the engines periodically to keep them lubricated and moving. A lot of the trains have the new little computer chip, and they were actually recorded from a real train. Most of them are Lionel, or what we call MTH, Mike's Toy House trains, and they're made in, Mike's Toy House is made in Columbia, Maryland, and the Lionel trains, a lot of those are made in China, and of course a lot of Mike's Toy House are made in China too. And they have real good products, but they're kind of expensive. I used to have a big collection when I was much younger. I started in 1946, and I had all Lionel trains in, and I had to send my kids to college, so I sold most of those. And then I missed my trains, and I started collecting again, and this is what happened. So we'll walk around, and I'll show you some of the trains I have. This is a circus train. The circus usually winters in Florida, and then in the spring and summer, they'll travel around the United States and put on shows, and they go on railroad cars. And they keep the animals in cars, and they have flat cars here to carry their cars, their automobiles. And here's some more of the circus train. I don't have a full circus train, but I'm working on it. And hopefully before I get too old, I'll have a full circus train. Over here now is a lot of my passenger cars. One of my favorite railroad was a Pennsylvania Railroad. When I was a little boy, I lived in Pennsylvania, and I used to see these trains come by where I lived in the capital of Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, and I just love to watch the trains come by. I have some trains that are from Florida. Let's see, this is the Southern Pacific. Here's the Florida East Coast line. This is a diesel, a F3 diesel, and I have the passenger cars over there. You can see I have quite a repertoire of trains. I had a friend who worked for Procter & Gamble, and he gave me a train, a whole train set. He was one of my customers at the little storage house where I worked, and each of the car advertised a product that they sold. This is Crisco, this is Folgers Coffee, and my favorite Jiffy peanut butter, and one of my favorite orange drinks here. What was that? Sunny Delight, and then Duncan Hines. They make real good cakes and cookies, boxes that you can bake. And let's see what else you would like to see. Most of the wood that you see around here that the train runs off, I found at my little place where I worked. All these shelves were in a building down there they were going to throw away. So I brought them home, and they were almost put together. So I said, that'll be a good place to display. And so that's the way I set up the train room. This used to be, this part was a garage, and I got to playing and have so much fun that I no longer can get a car in here. So maybe the next owner can put his car in here if he wants, if he doesn't like trains. But how could anyone not like trains? And of course, this is my layout. It took me about 4 months to put it all together. And that's the fun part of model railroading, is the building of something. And then you slowly but surely put it together. This that looks like rocks is a padding that goes under a rug, but you can see the different colors, and so I'm simulating the rock. These are real rocks that I've picked up in my travels around the country. I love to have people pick up a rock and bring it back to me, and then I put it on my train collection. I even have one rock from Israel, from my neighbor who was an Israeli Air Force officer, and he brought me back a little rock from Israel. I build all my little mountains out of plaster of Paris. Of course, it's not near as neat as what you all have. I don't have that kind of talent, but I try, and it serves its purpose. And I made a lot of the little buildings here out of little kits that you can buy, and I put those together. They had a show here in town one time, and they had all these pictures, advertisement of trains. They used to have these around the country at the train stations, advertising the different railroads. And so I got a little replica of that. A good friend of mine went to Alaska on vacation, and he brought back this picture there, and when he moved away, he gave me this of the Alaskan Railroad. And several years ago, Carolyn and I rode on the Alaska Railroad all the way from Fairbanks to Anchorage, Alaska. Beautiful trip through the mountains. And this is the train of the color of the blue and yellow. And we won a dome car, and oh, we had a wonderful time. And we spent the night in Denali National Park, and went to a nice barbecue dinner, and they put on a show for us. And then the next day we went to Anchorage, and we were getting ready to get up to go to the airplane to come back home, and we even had a Alaskan earthquake that morning. It was very mild, but it would shake you. So we've had all kind of fun in our travels, and I hope you'll enjoy the train ride today. And we miss you, and we want you to come see us just as soon as you can. And we can hardly wait to see Toby and show him all of the toys. And I've got a lot of trains. I've got 5 trains on the table here, and I have 2 running around the room there. And I'm going to turn them on and see if we can get some of them running, and you can hear some of the noises, and get ready to come play with me one of these days before I get too old to run it, and then you'll have to run it for me. This is my railroad cap. A good engineer always has his railroad cap, and this is the one that I picked up when I was in Alaska, riding the Alaska train. It was a souvenir. Oh, let me get set up here. I have 4 transformers. Well, really 3 that are hooked up, but I have 4 altogether, and they will run a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 trains, and I have 7 trains running that I can run at this time. One has a little short, so we're down to 6. And I need my electrician to come see me and put it back together for me. Okay. This is a Z4000 transformer made by the MTH, Mike's Toy House, the one I was telling you about in Columbia, Maryland. You can hear the engine starting up. It's one of the 2 trains up on the top side. And that was a famous train from the, I think it's Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, which ran on the East Coast. A lot of these companies have merged and they've changed the name, so a lot of the ones that you see on a lot of trains don't exist anymore. And I was a little boy that did. The next one I'm going to turn on is the Santa Fe Railroad. You hear the bell? And that's one of them that has the little computer chip in it. You hear the diesel starting up? I have to run this one manually, and I have to go full speed to get up the hill here. It's going full speed now to get around the curve, and then I have to pull the power back or it'll have a wreck on that curve over there like I did one day. See, it won't make it all the way. I didn't go full speed, so I have to back up. Hear the bell? I'm going to park it over here so hopefully we can record the men talking to the control tower that controls this train. All across the United States they have towers and radio communications, probably by satellite in some places, because going through the mountains a lot of times you don't have good reception. Let's see if I can hear them talking. Let me turn the bell off. Okay, they're going to talk here in just a minute. You hear the diesel? Hear him talking? He's talking to the control tower. He's got clearance to go ahead and proceed, so we'll start up. Yep, there we go. Going full speed, we got to go full speed to get up that grade. This grade is too steep, we have to go full speed. We have to pull it off. You hear the diesel? Okay, I'm going to pull the diesel to a stop and you'll hear the brakes. Hear the brakes? Okay, let's get some of these on the lower section going. I've just got a new engine here I'm trying out. I want you to see what you think. Come on, baby. There we go. These cars here, I belong to a train club, that MTH from Columbia, Maryland, and each year when I join, they'll send me a different car that I pick out. They have several different clubs here in the United States, and you can pick out a club or a train engine, and it's just a lot of fun to collect. You can see how many years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've been collecting 12 years. It takes time to build up a train collection, unless you got lots of money. This is a Lionel transformer. This transformer will run 4 trains at one time. 4 different connections that you can set up 4 trains. This is the MTH, and this will run 2 trains. There's 2, 4, 6, 8 trains I can run. And I've got another transformer here. If I expand, I can run a couple trains on that one. Let's get another train again here.